Jack Miller stood tall in his black and blue uniform at the back of the large meeting room. His job was simple: watch and protect. As part of the Earth Diplomatic Corps security team, he was trained to stay quiet and alert. Today was humanity's first official meeting with the Zarkadian Empire, and Jack's main worry was staying awake during the long speeches. The room was filled with strange smells. The air had a hint of something like cinnamon mixed with metal. The walls glowed with a soft blue light, and the ceiling was much higher than any human would need. This was built for the Zarkadians, after all. Ambassador Susan Wright stood at the front of the human group, her gray suit perfectly pressed for this historic moment. She was mid-sentence in her welcome speech when she paused. Her hand went to her throat, then to her chest. Her breathing became loud and rough. "Ambassador?" asked her assistant, stepping forward. Susan's knees buckled. She fell to the floor as the humans around her gasped and moved to help. The ship's doctor rushed to her side, pulling out a medical scanner. "She's having a severe allergic reaction to something in the air," the doctor said, jabbing a medicine needle into Susan's arm. "We need to get her back to our ship right away." The Zarkadians watched with their large, compound eyes. Their bodies were like tall, thin praying mantises, with shiny exoskeletons in colors ranging from deep purple to bright green. They clicked and chirped to each other in their own language. The tallest one, Admiral Vexthar, stepped forward. His translator device spoke in a flat, mechanical voice. "This is most unfortunate. Does this mean talks will end?" The human team looked at each other with worry. This was humanity's big chance to join the galactic community. If they left now, who knew when another chance would come? Jack surprised himself by stepping forward. "Sir, if I may," he said to the human vice ambassador, who looked lost. "What is it, Sergeant Miller?" the man asked. "I've read all the briefing materials and watched the ambassador practice her speeches. I can fill in until she recovers," Jack said. His 12 years in the military had taught him that when leadership falls, someone needs to step up. The vice ambassador looked doubtful, but nodded slowly. "Admiral," he said to Vexthar, "may we continue with Sergeant Miller speaking for Earth until Ambassador Wright recovers?" The Admiral's head tilted to an odd angle. His mandibles clicked rapidly. "A security guard will speak for your planet. Is this some kind of insult?" "Not at all," Jack said, stepping forward. "On Earth, those who protect are also those who serve. I've been trained to represent Earth's interests if needed." This wasn't exactly true, but Jack knew the talks couldn't stop. Humanity needed this alliance. Admiral Vexthar's body language was hard to read, but the way his front legs rubbed together suggested he was unhappy. "Very well, but this unusual change makes me suspicious." Jack nodded respectfully and took Susan's place at the table. The other humans looked nervous, but they had no choice. For the next hour, Jack did his best. He remembered most of Susan's talking points about trade, cultural exchange, and shared defense. The Zarkadians seemed to listen, but their reactions were hard to understand. During a brief break, Admiral Vexthar pulled one of his officers aside. They spoke quietly in their clicking language. Jack noticed, but tried not to stare. He had a bad feeling. When the meeting resumed, Vexthar announced, "Before we continue, we will demonstrate Zarkadian technology." A gesture of goodwill. Several officers wheeled in what looked like a large cannon made of a shiny blue-black metal. Jack felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. "This is a standard plasma weapon," Vexthar explained. "We will show its power on a target." One officer pointed the weapon at a metal stand across the room. But at the last moment, Admiral Vexthar made a sharp clicking sound, and the officer swung the weapon toward Jack. The humans shouted in alarm as a blinding blue light shot across the room. Jack had no time to move. Blue light filled the room as the plasma blast hit Jack directly in the chest. The force pushed him back several steps, but he somehow stayed on his feet. His uniform smoked and parts of it turned black. The humans in the room screamed. Some dove for cover, while others froze in shock. The Zarkadians watched with their strange, multifaceted eyes. They expected to see the human fall to the ground in pain. In their culture, even a low-power plasma blast would leave one of their warriors unable to fight for days. It was a perfect way to show power without killing. But Jack did not fall. When the blue light faded, Jack stood there looking down at his chest. His uniform was burned away in spots, showing red skin underneath that looked like a bad sunburn. He touched it with his fingers and winced slightly. Then he did something that shocked everyone in the room. He laughed. It started as a small chuckle, but grew into a full laugh. Jack looked up at Admiral Vexthar and the other Zarkadians, who had gone completely still. "Is that all you've got?" Jack asked, brushing charred bits of fabric from his shoulder. "My drill sergeant hits harder than that." The Vice Ambassador found his voice first among the humans. "What is the meaning of this attack?" "We came in peace." Admiral Vexthar's mandibles clicked rapidly. His translator device struggled to keep up. "Impossible. No species can withstand a direct plasma hit. This human must be wearing some kind of shield technology. You have tricked us." "No tricks," Jack said, stepping forward. The Zarkadian guards moved back, almost afraid. "Just good old human toughness. Now, should we get back to our meeting? Or did you want to try again with a bigger gun?" The room was silent for a long moment. Then one of the smaller Zarkadians approached Admiral Vexthar and spoke quickly in their clicking language. The Admiral nodded. "Our science officer wishes to scan you," the Admiral said to Jack, "to understand how you survived." Jack looked at the Vice Ambassador, who gave a small nod. "Sure, scan away," Jack said. "But no more shooting, okay?" The science officer approached cautiously and held up a small device that glowed green. It moved the device around Jack, focusing on his chest. The device made high-pitched sounds, and the science officer's movements became more excited. "Fascinating," the science officer said through its translator. "The human cells have somehow absorbed the plasma energy rather than being destroyed by it. I have never seen anything like this." Admiral Vexthar stepped forward. "This changes things. We were told humans were a soft species, barely worth noticing. It seems we were given wrong information." The Vice Ambassador squared his shoulders. "Perhaps you should have asked us directly instead of shooting one of our people." Jack put a hand on the Vice Ambassador's arm. "It's okay. No real harm done." He turned to the Admiral. "But next time you want to test someone's strength, just ask them to arm wrestle or something." Several of the Zarkadians made a strange, rhythmic clicking sound. The humans realized with surprise that they were laughing. "We will continue our talks," Admiral Vexthar said. "But first, you should return to your ship for medical attention." Jack shook his head. "I'm fine. Feels like I stood too long in the sun. That's all. Let's continue." The Admiral's head tilted. "You are unusual, Sergeant Miller." "Very well, we will proceed." As they returned to the table, Jack noticed how differently the Zarkadians were treating him now. Their body language had changed from dismissive to cautious respect. The Vice Ambassador leaned close to Jack. "What just happened? How did you survive that?" Jack shrugged. "No idea, but don't let them know that. Let them think all humans can do this." The meeting continued, but everything had changed. News of the incident was already being sent to both the human ship and the Zarkadian fleet. By tomorrow, everyone would know about the human who laughed off a plasma blast. And Jack had a feeling that was just the beginning. Dr. Olivia Martinez couldn't believe her eyes. She ran the scan for the 4th time, and the results were still the same. Jack sat on the exam table in the medical bay of the U.S. Independence, looking bored as various machines beaked around him. "This doesn't make any sense," Olivia said, pushing her glasses up. "You absorbed enough energy to power this entire deck for a week. By all rights, you should be dead, or at least badly hurt." Jack shrugged. "Lucky me, I guess. Can I go now? I feel fine, just a bit warm." Captain Peter Dawson stood by the door with his arms crossed. His gray eyes were serious under his short white hair. No one is going anywhere until we understand what happened. The Zarkadians are demanding answers. They think we tricked them somehow. I didn't trick anyone, Jack said. They shot me. I didn't fall down. End of story. Olivia pointed to the screen showing a scan of Jack's body. Blue lines ran through the image like veins, but they weren't veins at all. Your cells changed when the plasma hit you. They absorbed the energy instead of being damaged by it. I've never seen anything like this before. Is it dangerous? Jack asked, suddenly concerned. I don't think so, Olivia said. The energy levels are already dropping. Your body is slowly releasing it as heat, which is why you feel warm. But the real question is, why did this happen to you, and not to anyone else we know of? Captain Dawson walked to the screen. Could other humans do this too? Maybe, Olivia said. We've never had a reason to test it. No one goes around shooting people with plasma weapons on Earth. A young woman in a blue uniform rushed into the room. Lieutenant Emma Gardner was the ship's tactical officer. Her short blonde hair was messy, like she'd been running. Captain, we have a problem, she said. The Zarkadians have sent a formal message. They're demanding we hand over Sergeant Miller for study. They claim this is a required step before continuing talks. Jack sat up straight. Hand me over. Like some kind of lab rat. No way. Captain Dawson's face hardened. Of course we won't do that. Send a reply saying that Sergeant Miller is a member of Earth's military and is not available for study. We can share our medical findings once we have them. Emma nodded but looked worried. Sir, they've moved 3 warships into position around us. I think they're prepared to take him by force. The room went quiet. Everyone knew the Zarkadian ships were more powerful than the Independents. In a fight, the humans would lose. Why are they so interested in me? Jack asked. Olivia looked at her data again. I think they're scared. According to what we know about their biology, a plasma blast would be devastating to them. The fact that you can withstand it might make them see humans as a threat. Or they want to learn how to do it themselves, Emma added. Captain Dawson sighed. Either way, we need to be careful. Dr. Martinez, I want you working on this full time. Figure out why Jack can do this, and if other humans can too. Emma, keep an eye on those Arcadian ships and prepare defensive plans, just in case. Jack stood up. What about me? I'm not going to hide in here while everyone else works. You, the captain said, need to stay visible but safe. The Zarkadians need to see that we're not afraid, but I don't want you in a position where they can grab you easily. Olivia suddenly looked up from her screen. Wait, I'm getting strange readings. The energy in Jack's cells is changing somehow. Everyone turned to look at Jack. For a second, his skin seemed to glow with a faint blue light. Then it was gone. What was that? Jack asked, looking at his hands. I don't know, Olivia said. But I think your body isn't just storing that energy. It might be adapting to use it. 3 weeks passed with the human ship U.S. Independence and the Zarkadian vessels locked in their standoff. No shots were fired, but no progress was made either. The humans refused to hand over Jack, and the Zarkadians refused to continue talks until they could study him. Jack spent most of his time in the ship's gym. He felt restless. Sometimes, when he pushed himself hard during exercise, his skin would glow blue again. Each time it happened, Dr. Martinez would rush in with her scanners, excited by the new data. Emma often joined Jack in the gym. Today, she was helping him practice hand-to-hand combat moves. You need to be ready for anything, she said, circling him on the mat. We've been studying Zarkadian biology. Their exoskeletons make them strong, but they have weak points at their joints. Jack blocked her punch and replied, I'm more worried about their plasma weapons than their punches. Emma smiled. After what happened last time, maybe they should worry about you. Their practice was interrupted when Captain Dawson's voice came over the ship's speakers. Sergeant Miller and Lieutenant Gardner, Report to the bridge immediately. 5 minutes later, they stood on the bridge looking at the main screen. Admiral Vextar's insect-like face filled the display. "We have grown tired of waiting," the Admiral said. "According to our ancient customs, we offer a challenge. Your champion against ours in honorable combat. If your champion wins, we will recognize humans as equals and continue our talks. If our champion wins, Earth will become a protectorate of the Zarkadian Empire." Captain Dawson frowned. "We don't settle diplomatic matters through combat." The Admiral's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Then you admit your weakness. We will take this human by force and learn his secrets." "Wait," Jack stepped forward. "I'll do it. I'll fight your champion." "Jack, no," Emma whispered. Captain Dawson turned to Jack. "This isn't your decision to make, Sergeant." "With all due respect, sir, it kind of is," Jack said. "They want me. And from what we've learned, they respect strength. This might be our only chance to earn their respect rather than their fear." The captain thought for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Admiral, we need time to consider your challenge. We will give you our answer in 24 hours. After the Admiral's face disappeared from the screen, Captain Dawson called an emergency meeting in the ship's conference room. Dr. Martinez brought her latest findings. "Jack's cells continue to change," she explained, showing charts on the screen. "The plasma energy has triggered some kind of adaptation. It's almost like his body is learning how to use the energy." "Can he control it?" the captain asked. Olivia shook her head. "Not yet. It happens randomly, usually when his heart rate increases during exercise. I need to learn to control it before the fight," Jack said. Emma looked concerned. "We don't even know if you should fight. This could be a trap." "Of course it's a trap," Jack agreed. "But what choice do we have? If we refuse, they'll attack the ship. If we run, they'll follow us back to Earth." Captain Dawson rubbed his forehead. "Dr. Martinez, work with Jack. See if you can help him control this ability. Emma, gather all the information we have on Zarkadian combat techniques. Everyone else, prepare the ship for possible combat. We'll accept the challenge, but we'll also be ready if things go wrong." Later that night, Jack couldn't sleep. He stood in his quarters looking at his reflection in the mirror. Focusing hard, he tried to make the blue glow appear, but nothing happened. "Come on," he muttered. "Work when I want you to." A soft knock on his door interrupted his concentration. When he opened it, Emma stood there with a data pad. "I thought you might be awake," she said. "I've been studying Zarkadian combat footage. Their champion is Commander Krulvex. He's never lost a fight." Jack invited her in. "Great. No pressure." Emma touched his arm. "Jack, you don't have to do this." "Yes, I do," he said quietly. "For all of us." What neither of them knew was that at that very moment, someone else on the ship was making plans of their own. Plans that would change everything. Jack woke to a strange sound in his quarters. The room was dark except for the dim safety lights near the floor. He reached for his weapon under his pillow, but froze when he saw a figure standing in the corner. It wasn't human. "Do not be afraid," said a soft clicking voice. "I am not here to harm you." Jack sat up slowly. Computer, lights at 30%. The lights came on enough for Jack to see his visitor. It was a Zarkadian, smaller than the others he had seen. Its exoskeleton was a pale blue color that almost seemed to glow. "Who are you? How did you get on our ship?" Jack asked, keeping his hand near his weapon. "My name is Ixera. I am a scientist from the Zarkadian research vessel." The alien's translator made its voice sound female. "As for how I got here, let's just say not all of us agree with Admiral Vextar's methods." Jack studied the alien carefully. "What do you want?" "To help you," Ixera said, moving closer. "The combat tomorrow is not meant to be fair. Commander Krulvex will kill you, and then the Admiral will use your death as an excuse to attack your ship. Why are you telling me this? Why betray your own people?" Ixera's head tilted to one side. "They are not my people. I am from a different hive. I was assigned to this fleet to study other species. What the Admiral is doing goes against our true values." Before Jack could respond, his door slid open. Emma stood there with her weapon drawn. "Jack," the sensors picked up. She stopped when she saw the Zarkadian. "Step away from him." "Emma, wait," Jack said, standing up. "She says she's here to help." "Help? There's an alien in your room in the middle of the night, and you think she's here to help?" Emma kept her weapon aimed at Ixera. "Please," Ixera said, her thin arms raised to show she had no weapons. "I don't have much time. If they discover I'm gone, they will kill me." Jack nodded to Emma. "Let's hear her out." Reluctantly, Emma lowered her weapon but stayed by the door. "Talk fast." Ixera moved to the center of the room. "My people encountered another species with abilities similar to yours centuries ago. They could absorb energy and use it. We destroyed them out of fear." Jack and Emma exchanged looks. "What happened to them?" Jack asked. "The Empire hunted them to extinction," Ixera said, her voice sad. "I found the records in our science archives. The Admiral knows about them too, which is why he wants to study you and then control your people." "How does this help me in the fight tomorrow?" Jack asked. Ixera reached into a small pouch attached to her exoskeleton and pulled out a small device that looked like a disc. "This can help you control the energy in your cells. It emits a frequency that will stabilize the plasma and allow you to direct it." Emma stepped forward. "This could be a trap. That thing could kill him. If I wanted him dead, I wouldn't have come here," Ixera said. "Commander Krillvex wears a combat suit that channels energy through specific points. With this device, you can absorb that energy and use it against him." Jack took the disc carefully. "Why would you risk your life to help me?" "Because I believe in truth and balance," Ixera said. "And because I have seen what fear and hatred can do to a civilization. My people were not always warriors. Once, we were explorers and scientists." A soft beeping sound came from a device on Ixera's arm. "I must go. They are checking quarters soon." "Wait," Emma said, her voice softer now. "How will you get back?" "The same way I came," Ixera said, moving toward the wall. She pressed something on her arm, and a section of the wall seemed to shimmer. "Good luck in the combat, Jack Miller. The future of both our peoples may depend on it." Then she was gone, the wall solid once more. Jack looked at the small disc in his hand. "Do you think we can trust her?" Emma sighed. "I don't know, but it might be our only chance." The combat arena was set up on a small rocky moon. No air, no life, just dust and stone. Both sides had agreed this would be neutral ground. The Zarkadians had built a clear dome over a flat area, pumped in air, and set up viewing stands all around. Thousands of Zarkadians sat watching, their mandibles clicking in excitement. On the human side, only Captain Dawson, Dr. Martinez, Emma, and a small security team were allowed to attend. But back on the Independence and on Earth, billions of humans watched through video feeds. Jack stood at one end of the arena in a special suit Dr. Martinez had made. It was light and flexible, but had extra padding in key areas. The small disc Ixera had given him was hidden under the chest plate, right over his heart. Jack could feel it humming against his skin. "Remember what we practiced," Emma said, standing beside him. "Use their strength against them, and don't let Krillvex back you into a corner." Jack nodded, bouncing on his toes to stay loose. Dr. Martinez checked the small device on his wrist one last time. "This will monitor your energy levels," she explained. "If the blue light starts flashing, it means your cells are getting overloaded. You'll need to release some energy or—" She didn't finish the sentence. "Or I go boom." Jack asked with a small smile. "Got it. No going boom." Captain Dawson put a hand on Jack's shoulder. "You don't have to do this. We can still find another way." "We both know that's not true, sir," Jack said. "This is our best shot at peace." A loud horn sounded, and the Zarkadians all stood at once. Admiral Vexthar walked to the center of the arena. "Today we witness combat between champions," his translator boomed. "For the Zarkadian Empire, Commander Krulvex." From the far side of the arena, a tall Zarkadian stepped forward. He was larger than any Jack had seen before, with a dark green exoskeleton covered in scars. He wore what looked like armor on his chest and arms, with glowing blue lines running through it. For the humans, Sergeant Jack Miller. Jack walked to the center of the arena, aware of thousands of alien eyes watching his every move. Up close, Krulvex was even more intimidating. He stood at least 8 feet tall, with powerful limbs and sharp spikes on his forearms. "I will enjoy breaking you, human," Krulvex said, his translator making the words sound even more menacing. "Your strange ability will not save you." Jack smiled. "Nice to meet you too. Love the outfit. Does it come in blue?" Krulvex made a harsh clicking sound that might have been confusion or anger. The Admiral moved away, and a bell rang to start the combat. Krulvex didn't waste time. He charged forward, swinging a massive arm at Jack's head. Jack ducked under it, feeling the air rush past his face. He tried to counter with a punch to Krulvex's side, but it was like hitting a rock. Jack's hand stung with pain. "Stupid move," he muttered to himself. Krulvex spun around with surprising speed and caught Jack with a blow to the shoulder. Jack flew across the arena and crashed into the wall. Pain shot through his body, but he forced himself to stand. "First blood to me," Krulvex said. "There will be much more." The alien pressed something on his wrist, and the blue lines on his armor glowed brighter. Energy seemed to flow into his hands, which now crackled with blue plasma. "Now you will see true power," Krulvex said, raising his hands. 2 streams of plasma shot toward Jack. He tried to dodge, but one caught him in the leg. Pain flared up, but then something strange happened. The disc on his chest vibrated, and Jack felt the energy being pulled into his body instead of burning him. "Huh," Jack said, looking at his leg. That actually tickled. The Zarkadians in the stands made sounds of shock. Krulvex fired again, this time hitting Jack directly in the chest. Instead of harming him, the energy flowed into his body. Jack felt it spreading through him, making his muscles tingle. For the first time, Krulvex looked uncertain. Jack grinned. "My turn." Jack felt energy coursing through his body. Blue light glowed beneath his skin, making him look almost alien. The device on his chest hummed, helping him control the power. Krulvex backed up a step, his compound eyes fixed on Jack. "What are you?" the Zarkadian commander asked, his translator unable to hide the fear in his voice. Jack smiled. "Just a human who's full of surprises." He looked down at his hands, which now glowed with the same blue energy that Krulvex had used. "Let's see if I can do what you do." Jack pointed his palm toward a rock near Krulvex and concentrated. A stream of blue plasma shot out, hitting the rock and turning it to dust. The arena went silent. Even the Admiral had stopped clicking his mandibles. "Would you look at that?" Jack said, genuinely surprised. It worked. He turned to where Emma and the others watched. "Did you see that? I did the thing." Emma couldn't help but smile despite the danger. "Focus, Jack." Krulvex roared and charged again, this time with both hands blazing with plasma. Jack dodged the first few blasts, moving faster than before. The energy had somehow enhanced his speed and strength. When a blast came too close to avoid, Jack didn't try to dodge. Instead, he reached out and caught the energy with his hand, absorbing it. "Thanks for the refill," Jack said, then shot the energy right back. Krulvex wasn't ready for his own attack to be returned. The blast hit him in the chest, cracking his armor. He stumbled backward, green fluid leaking from the crack. "You will pay for that, human," Krulvex hissed, pressing buttons on his wrist controller. His entire armor lit up, gathering energy for one massive attack. Dr. Martinez's voice came through Jack's earpiece. "Jack, the readings are spiking. If you absorb any more energy, You might not be able to contain it. Jack knew he had to end this now. As Krillvex prepared his attack, Jack rushed forward, moving faster than any human should be able to. He dodged under Krillvex's arms and pressed his glowing hand against the cracked armor. "This might tingle a bit," Jack said, and released all the stored energy into Krillvex's body. The Zarkadian commander convulsed as the energy surged through him. His armor systems overloaded, sending sparks flying. With a final screech, Krillvex collapsed to the ground, unconscious. The arena was completely silent. Then, one by one, the Zarkadians stood. They began making a new sound, a rhythmic tapping of their front legs against their bodies. Admiral Vexthar walked to the center of the arena. "The combat is over," he announced. "The human champion is victorious." Jack, no longer glowing, walked over to where Krillvex lay. "Is he going to be okay?" A Zarkadian medic, checking the commander, looked up. "He will recover. His systems are simply overloaded, as you humans might say. Knocked out." "Good," Jack said. "I didn't want to kill him." Admiral Vexthar approached Jack. "This is unexpected. You not only withstood our weapons, you turned them against us. And then you show concern for your defeated enemy." The Admiral's head tilted. "You humans are strange creatures." Captain Dawson joined them. "Will you honor our agreement, Admiral? Will you recognize humans as equals?" The Admiral's mandibles clicked slowly. "Yes. The combat was fair, and your champion was victorious. We will continue our talks as equals." Later, on the shuttle back to the Independence, Emma sat next to Jack. "You did it. You actually did it." Jack grinned, though he looked tired. Was there ever any doubt? Dr. Martinez was checking her readings. "The energy has almost completely dissipated from your system. How do you feel?" "Like I could sleep for a week," Jack admitted. "But good, really good." Captain Dawson looked thoughtful. "This changes everything. Not just with the Zarkadians, but for all future encounters with alien species. If humans can adapt to their weapons, it might just keep us alive out here," Jack finished. When they docked with the Independence, they were surprised to find Ixera waiting with a human security team. She stepped forward when she saw Jack. "You succeeded," she said. "The Admiral has ordered a full stand-down of forces and has agreed to send a science team to work with your Dr. Martinez." "What about you?" Jack asked. "Won't you be in trouble for helping me?" Ixera's translator conveyed what might have been a laugh. "The Admiral has appointed me as the lead scientist for the joint research. He believes my unique perspective will be valuable." Jack smiled. "So friends then." Ixera extended a thin four-fingered hand. "Friends, and perhaps someday true allies." As they shook hands, human and alien, Jack couldn't help but laugh. "All this because I got shot and didn't fall down. Funny how the universe works."